Okay.
That's fair.
Okay, well, hold on.
I agree with you.
All
right,
we're
we'll be
doing the
right
pledge.
back.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we thank you for granting us the privilege to meet tonight. We ask for your blessing, wisdom, and guidance as we conduct the business of the village. Amen.
Amen.
Okay.
Roll call.
Wheeler.
Yep.
Fisher.
Yes.
Percy.
Yeah.
Powell.
Yes.
Mauer.
Yes.
Cheney.
Yes.
A motion to approve the minutes of the May 12th regular meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes of the May 12th regular council meeting.
Second.
Powell.
Yes.
Mauer.
Yes.
Cheney.
Yes.
Wheeler.
Yep.
Fisher.
Abstain.
Percy.
Yes.
Okay, so for correspondence, we had a couple of emails or messages to the Facebook page. Those will be addressed with some of the committee meeting minutes, so we're going to skip over that. There are no citizens here this evening, so moving on to the committee reports, building and property.
We talked about the high grass and weed nuisance. And we talked about some of the properties that she's already sent letters to about junk and trash and all that. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them hasn't got back to her, and then the other ones are working on it.
Okay. And did you want to take that further with the no contact?
Did we do a roll call before?
That's what I was asking.
Yeah, I don't think we did.
I don't
It's
know.
been so long.
That's why I'm
Do we need a
asking.
roll call saying it's okay for me to,
To have Joel
yeah.
pursue legal action. So
Yeah.
Joel, the question is, Tammy has a handful of violations that she wants to have you pursue legal action for, and it's been discussed in committee meetings. Do we need to have a roll call vote in open council meeting to approve her to move forward with that?
Perfect.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, community business and development,
Nothing tonight?
community relations.
WRWL is having a meeting in June, but the date hasn't been secured yet. And the flowers have been planted, so we want to thank the groups that were part of that.
I missed on saying the Boy Scouts have put out the flags for this season as well. So the Boy Scouts helped WRWL, and they did a phenomenal job. Community revitalization.
I'll be reaching out to the members and scheduling another meeting here soon.
Finance.
We received the disbursement for the park fund, and some of the Lafayette Township levy payment was received.
Ordinance.
Nothing tonight.
Park board.
Nothing tonight, but just a friendly reminder that when you are at the waterworks field, to please put your trash in the trash cans. We'd really appreciate it. And that's it.
Planning commission local.
Nothing tonight.
County.
Nothing.
Public safety.
Mosquito spraying has begun in the village. The next spray is tentatively scheduled for May 29th, weather permitting. And we'll also be spraying Black Acres along with Plainfield. Bike safety was a major discussion tonight. Had an incident in the village involving minors with injuries and an e-bike. PD's planning a bike safety event for kids in the village and interested parties in the laws pertaining to bicycle traffic. Bikes are to observe the same traffic laws as a motor vehicle in the village. Paved alleyways will be receiving stop signs. A list of the new sign locations will be published prior to their installation. Accident protocols and chains of command were discussed. pertaining to biohazard cleanup and responsibilities were clarified. Side by sides, concerned residents have reached out and commented on them in the village. We know some of them are speeding, but it sounds like a lot of them are. And by nature, the tires and the exhaust on them make them seem like they are flying when they're actually not. They're staying under the speed limit and they are observing the laws. And we also discussed a possible grant opportunity called, the acronym for it is COPS, and it helps to pay for the hiring and retention. Am I saying that correctly? For 3 years of a new officer for the village. It's a time sensitive grant, but it's tricky because it's the contingent on the passing of the levy that keeps getting voted down by the residents of the village. So we can pay our portion of that grant. So we're going to do a little bit more fact finding and go from there on that.
If you see something, call the police.
Yes.
As far as speeding side by side.
Yes, with the side by sides and bikes, if you see an issue with them, please call the police department directly so it can get taken care of in a timely manner. Sound good? All right.
All right, Public Works.
We talked about the stormwater study and visit from engineers, and we talked about Rumpke, some questions and issues with them. And letters will be sent out sometime in June to inform people of what days they'll be picked up and all that good stuff. And I was thinking while you were talking, maybe you should say, if we put up a stop sign, that means stop,
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
right?
Pick up your trash, stop and stop signs. Records retention.
We did have a meeting on May 13th, and I presented a list of records, request to be destroyed, and that was signed off on and submitted to the state. A big bulk of those records to be destroyed are tax records, since we no longer handle the village income tax filings. We have 8 filing cabinets worth of documents that we can get rid of now, so we've held on to them long enough.
Wow.
So we'll get rid of those, as well as just some other things that were on our regular schedule. There are also a couple of changes that were proposed to make to our retention schedule, and those have also been submitted to the state, just waiting to hear back on the approval on those.
Okay. And nothing from rules tonight. Fire's not here this evening. Fiscal officer. I know,
Okay.
circling right back to you.
Legislation that we have on the table tonight, ordinance 2025-19 will receive its third and final reading tonight, and that is related to the residential refuse pickup and disposal service. Resolution 2025-27, I think Adam already touched on, I believe police chief will also speak to a little bit. Our tax budget deadline to have that submitted to the county auditor is July 18th, so I will be working on that over the next few weeks, reaching out to department heads to crunch some numbers for that. I will be gone next Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for a conference in Sandusky, and those have been passed around for approval.
Police.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
So I want to touch on bike safety, of course, obviously, and that's last week where a couple of boys were injured in an accident on an e-bike. I don't want to direct this strictly at the e-bikes. However, there have been a lot of complaints about the e-bikes. I want to make this about bike safety in general. Kids have to be safe, and parents' job is to make sure their kids understand that they have to follow the same rules that we do in motor vehicles. I'm going to be working to put something together, an event, hopefully within the next few weeks, to do like a bike safety awareness for kids. There'll be more information forthcoming with that. As Councilman Fisher mentioned, side-by-sides. I've had some complaints as well about the noise of side-by-sides and not so much speeding, to me at least. I can tell you from my experience and paying attention to them over the last few years, they do sound louder. They do seem like they're going faster just because of the noise. By and large, the side-by-sides that are coming into the village are following the laws. They're following the speed limits, they're stopping. It's just the way they're designed. The exhaust and the tires do make them sound louder and faster when they're really not. The COPS grant is something that I found a couple of weeks ago. It's a 3-year program to where we can get 75% funding to hire a new officer. I think that new officer would be a huge asset to the village. The village would have to pick up the full cost of that officer on the 4th year. Anything else that you can think of with that?
No, that's, we just need to make sure we have the money in the budget to
Correct.
cover the 4th year and the 25% each year.
So my goal is to get the public to understand that, you know, the village is important to me. It's important to our officers. And we want to make sure that we're here for you. So any support you can give us is greatly appreciated. If you have an issue with speeders or bikes or whatever it is, contact the police department. Okay? I appreciate that you contact your council members and your mayor, but we're your first line. Okay? By the time you call them and then they call us, whatever that problem is, if it's somebody speeding or side-by-side or whatever, it delays us from getting there and helping resolve the issue. Okay? That's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Solicitor,
Oh, wait, hold on. Gotta turn it up.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. You're up, Joel.
Okay. Sorry. Somebody else. Those two Mr. Children. Okay. So, overall, been a pretty quiet month for the solicitor. Other than, Tammy calls me like 3 times a week, but that's okay. We did get a petition regarding the trash ordinance, and it's going to be my recommendation to council that we reject it. I'm hoping that the individual that submitted it is listening that way and understand why I'm making the recommendation. So with these petitions, they're pretty rule sensitive. And so there are just a number of rules that have to be covered. I know there are certainly individuals who have voiced that they do not like the trash ordinance. And I understand they don't like it. That is, approaching it with this petition, it's 100% within the law. It's the right way to go about doing it. So the idea is there. However, just like the ordinance, when it was initially passed, council had to follow certain rules. The same is going to be true for any petition that goes on the record. So just looking at it on its face, the reason I'm recommending council reject this is revised code 731-29 requires that the circulator file a certified copy of the ordinance being challenged before circulating the petition. In this case, the petitioner did not file a certified copy. The statute explains what a certified copy is, so while this is a procedural hurdle and a minor one, it's still one that needs to be followed. It's not the only one that we're going to be discussing here. So I don't want it to sound like I'm just nitpicking with one thing to reject it here, though all of these do technically need to be followed, and it would not be nitpicking if it was just one of these. I'd still recommend that you have to reject it. The petition must be signed by 10% of the electorate, and it explains what the electorate is in the rule. I'm not going to get into that. This on its face doesn't hit that percentage. It's only 61 signatures. So they'll have to have a 10% signatures on it. The petition has to be filed within 30 days after the ordinance is passed and in effect. I do believe that it probably, with the date that it was filed and everything, it probably falls, that deadline hasn't passed. I think it was probably premature in filing it, but I don't think it has passed, so there's still time for them to file a new petition. For reasons I won't get into today, the petition that they currently have it cannot be remedied. They're going to have to start the process over, unfortunately. Once filed, it'll be kept open for public inspection for 10 days. That's moot at this point. The top of each petition has to have a section that needs to be printed and read. It says, notice whoever willingly signs this petition more than once signs their name at his own or signs other than his own or signs as not a legal voter is liable for prosecution. This could be correct. The copy I was given, these are all in black text. It has to be red text. Again, that's in the statute. This might not be a problem, but like I said, what I'm looking at as black text. Must have a committee of 3. So most of these petitions have 2 people mentioned on the committee. One of them adds a third person in, which in and of itself, the discrepancy between that creates a problem, which is part of the reason these can't be used. But at the very least, the 2 of them that only contain 2 committee members have to be rejected for that matter. There's no itemized statement. The statute gets into the itemized statement that has to be signed and submitted with this. It's kind of detailed about who was involved in the committee, what kind of funds were raised, if any. But again, the statute goes into that. That has to be filed with it. We didn't get one, so this is not complete. It has to be rejected on that ground. I'm going to call this a willful misrepresentation. I don't think anybody is trying to do anything wrong or mean or anything like that. It's just one of the things you have to have is you can't have a willful misrepresentation. On its face, 51 of the signatures were obtained prior to the date on which the ordinance was even passed. Then the content of the petition itself was filled in to reflect the date that it was passed. And so it creates a couple of problems. First, it's premature. The signatures couldn't have been put on there because it hadn't passed yet. The other problem is that once the petition is signed, the face of it can't be changed, especially after signatures start going on it. That's an area where that would be considered election fraud if there was an intent to defraud the people. Again, I don't see that is really what was going on. I think people were upset and they wanted to get the petition together quickly. Probably didn't know that rule, but once the petition is filled out on the first page, that stuff has to stay. It cannot be changed. Then people need to be able to review that before they sign it, so they have to be signing what they see on that first page. You cannot add content later. The content of this petition being changed means that all of those 51 signatures have to be rejected, and they are on all 3 petitions. 17 of the signatures were on a petition circulated by 2 individuals. There's a signature at the bottom for the individual circulating it, you can only circulate only one person can circulate a petition. You can't hand it off to somebody else and have them finish up. Whoever signs at the bottom has to be the person that circulated it, and it's only one person that circulates it. You can't have two individuals both signing it. Even if they're doing every single signature together, you just have one sign it, and that person needs to be the person that has personally circulated it. And that's what you're signing to. Again, that's an area where people have been prosecuted for doing it in a way that's meant to defraud an election. I don't see that happening here, so I don't think it needs to be reported or anything like that. People just trying to go out and make sure that their opinions are heard, doing what they can. So those are all things to keep in mind. These, as I said before, these petitions, they can't be reused at this point. The petitioners will need to start over. Unfortunately, with what we're looking at, and just the nature of election law, you don't get to just go and correct your errors. So they're going to have to take a look at the statute, follow the rules, do things within the time limit. And, if we get a valid petition, my advice to council is going to be that they need to follow the procedure in the statute. If an invalid petition comes through like this one, my advice is always going to be that it has to be rejected. In this case, there are a number of problems where it does not follow the statute. And so my advice to council is that these need to be rejected.
Okay. Anything else?
No? You guys have any questions for me?
No, I don't think so.
All righty.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
All right, those administrators.
Okay, good evening. I have just a few things. First is good news. The trucking company that was responsible for mowing over the stop sign again, or hitting the stop sign, I should say, the flashing one, will be paying restitution, so pay for the damages and the labor to put up a new one, which is great news. The sewer outfall project is, the contractor is planning to mobilize material and equipment the week of June 16th, so that should be the beginning date. The sidewalk project also will begin within the next few weeks. We'll be starting over on the school practice field, the edge of the school practice field, with a multi-use path that will carry students from school to home and beyond after school, to avoid all the pedestrian problems on Wall Street. And catch basin repairs should begin the end of this week or the beginning of next week. Weather is playing a big factor, as I'm sure you can imagine, in getting catch basins worked on. So that's really all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to introduction of ordinances and resolutions. 2025-19, an ordinance relating to residential refuse pickup and disposal service. This is the third reading.
Motion to adopt ordinance 2025-19.
Second.
Percy,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Mauer,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Wheeler,
Yep.
Cheney,
Yes.
2025-27, a resolution, a resolution by the Council of the Village of West Lafayette, Coshocton County, Ohio, authorizing and directing the village mayor to submit a grant in the application with COPS Hiring Program, CHP, and once the grant offers is received, further authorizing the village mayor to execute the grant contract and all related documents, authorizing the Village of West Lafayette to accept any grant money awarded to the Village of West Lafayette and declaring it an emergency. And this is the first reading. With no other business, the bills have been around.
yes.
Motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Ooh,
Which you both down?
All right.
Sure. Wheeler.
Yep.
Fisher.
Yes.
Percy.
Yes.
Powell.
Yes.
Mauer.
Yes.
Cheney.
Yes.
No executive session this evening, so
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Cheney.
Yes.
Mauer.
Yes.
Powell.
Yes.
Percy.
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes.
Wheeler.
Yep.
Yes, sir.